Are you ready?
Starting now?
Now you just messed it up, you knob. God, you know that the shit that we go through for this, huh?
I know. Fuckers better appreciate it. When we started, we were just like, yeah, we're just going to do this, man. You know, shoot our wad into the wind and see what happens. What's the title of this podcast again?
I don't know. I don't know. Something with a penis, I guess.
Right.
Our fucking faces are everywhere now.
Right.
But
you're welcome, ladies.
Right. Popular with the ladies. Right. Oh, I'm not even going to apologize because hopefully it sounds fucking hilarious.
Yeah, totally. This is fucking explicit now.
The explicit button. Let me use my finger.
La, 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 la.
It is time for another episode of Sober, Not Mature. And that episode starts now. All right, everyone. Welcome once again to another episode of Sober, Not Mature. And tonight, we actually have a friend of ours returning, if anyone's been paying attention. I heard her half giggle over there. You know what? Let's just go ahead and let her introduce herself real quick. So, who do we have here today?
Hello, everyone. This is Gretchen. It's G from episode 31. Was that it?
Right. Yep.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know.
I actually had.
Oh my gosh! I just did it.
What? Okay, so real quick, and what she's talking about is that, and I was going to bring it up anyhow because I thought it was funny. So you were on episode 31, and if anyone has not listened to that episode,
30, wonderful.
Please don't listen to it.
No, please do. So episode 30, it was episode 30 wonderful, and that's when Gretchen went through with G. Went through and told her whole story. Tonight, she's not going to go through her whole story again. So my recommendation is, you know what the fuck? Shut this off. Go listen to 31 and then come back to this episode.
Right.
And then you'll know why we're laughing.
Right. So, well, first of all, when Gretchen recorded with us the first time, you were freaking out. You were like super nervous. Said you're going to be like
so nervous,
deer in the headlights and all this different shit. Which, first of all, you weren't. I mean, everything was fine once you got on there, but then you were actually your biggest critic and said that you said what and all those different things, right?
So many times. I listened to it the next day, and all I could hear was So every time I said anything, I followed it with a and it just really pissed me off. Because that was a good episode. Like, there was good content. I was telling my story. We were connecting, all this other stuff, and it was nonstop.
Right. Yeah,
so I listened to it one
verbal
time.
Verbal crutches, we've all got them.
Yes. Right. So I made this note on a piece of paper that says no, underlined, or any other nonsense filler words like, totally, and But I'll fail.
Of course. We always fall short. It's okay. Right. It's okay. But we're striving to be better, and that's what's important.
And everyone needs to know I'm aware of it. I'm aware of it.
How do you solve a problem? You have to identify it.
Exactly.
Well, and what I had told her earlier because I texted her this morning just to make sure everything was cool, and she's like, all good, and she shows me the sign she made up, which I was laughing about. And I said, you realize that our entire podcast is made up of noises and ums and whatever. And she's like, no, it's not. I'm like, oh yeah, it is. I said, I think we do it all the time. And I don't want to say a proponent of not saying but it was one of those things that I was very aware of it while I was doing training for years, because it kind of takes away from the conversation if you're in front of people. But I mean, Mike and I, we don't really think about it much. So Whatever.
don't think about much of
Well,
anything.
when you're shooting the shit with people, you shouldn't be worried about how you come, like what you shouldn't be worried about what you're saying. You should just be shooting the shit.
Right.
And so that's what I'm going to do. Also, try not to say dumb shit.
Well, this is the forum for it. Come on, we wouldn't have a show
That's
if we
true.
didn't say dumb shit.
That's true. That's very true. But honestly, I mean, seriously, thank you for inviting me back. I love you guys. I know you have a big following now and you're kind of famous, and it really means a lot that you wanted me back on your show. So thanks for letting me be here again with you.
Well, first of all, we love you back. We're not famous. We have a very we have a very loyal and engaged following, I would guess is the best way to put it. We don't have a huge audience either on Instagram. Again, comparatively to other podcasts on Instagram, other podcasts as far as listener base, we don't have a huge listener base or follower base on either end. But what we do have is really, really cool people that are engaging and loyal and all those sort of things, and a lot of fucking fun, which is what makes this obviously worthwhile. And yeah, I mean, like I said in the promos this week, I mean, you've become a friend of ours over the last whatever that's been,
Mm,
10 months or whatever it's been. So I mean, we're
it's,
all we're all friends on Facebook. We see your
Mm-hmm.
kids, we see your
Right.
vacations, and
yes, absolutely.
so, but the other thing too, and I mean, obviously we wanted to catch up with you, but we
Yes,
also, I know that you went through a knee surgery, and Mike and I have talked
yes.
about this on several occasions because a lot of the people that we talk to that end up either maybe they were I'll say mild drug users or just drinkers, and they turned into either heavy drug use or you know severe drug use and heroin and that sort of thing. It started with
Mm-hmm.
I hurt my back or I had knee surgery, and usually
Mm-hmm.
when we have somebody on and they start that comes up in their story, I know, Mike, you're the same way. I'm like, well, I know where this is going to fucking end.
Right.
And
Yeah,
at the end of it they had a needle in their arm, or they were starting
right.
something or smoking this or whatever. So that was the other thing, and that's why I talked to Mike about that, because he and I have not only experienced that with people we know and that sort of thing, but had people on with those stories, and he and I have talked about it. So we thought it'd be good, for people to hear that. Number one, for the when you went in for your surgery, the time you had, how you went through it, what you dealt with, and that sort of thing. So
Right.
maybe worst case, just for people who haven't heard your story before, at least give your sobriety date and that sort of thing. If you want to give a little bit of maybe a brief 5-minute background about what you do, for your sobriety. What do you think, Mike? At least give people a little once over on what
Yeah.
she's doing
Yeah.
now. Okay,
Works for
cool.
me.
All right.
Absolutely. So I drank for decades. I really got into it, when I was like 18, 19 years old. Uh, I was never good at it. Let's just say that. I was always wasted, blacking out. I was a train wreck all the time, but I was a functioning train wreck. And I could still keep a job. Uh, it was a social, fun thing to do, and everybody was doing it. And then as the years go by and people stop doing that, I was still doing it, and I was doing it more. And it really became a problem in my late 30s and early 40s. I became an around the clock drinker, like the first thing I did in the morning and the last thing I did at night. I mean, I was shooting vodka all day long. Um, as far as drugs go, I used weed, and I used I did mushrooms and stuff like that, and this wasn't all the time. This was just occasionally when I was like in college and whatnot. And then I did have a little bout with cocaine for a while. So just know that with my when I did drugs, the one factor that was always present was alcohol. So it's not like I did them without alcohol. Alcohol was the driving force. It was the first drug.
Right.
So, but I didn't, it wasn't like where it was a problem in quotes. I mean, it's a problem because that's nasty and you're doing it, but it's not like I was trying to find it on every street corner from everybody. It wasn't like that. It was just if it was around, I was doing it. And when I was doing it, I was wasted. Okay.
Right. So opportunistic drug user.
Yes, I was an opportunistic drug user and alcohol was always involved. So this is part of my addiction is I am an addict. And I'm addicted to several different things. And one of them was exercise and running. And this fed my alcoholism because I was like, well, if I could go run 5 miles this morning, then I'm not an alcoholic and I can drink however much I want at night. Or I can smoke a pack of cigarettes at night and drink, and then in the morning I'll go run and it won't count. Like, how fucked up is that?
Oh, yeah. Rationalize and justify anything.
Yes, I was rationalizing and justifying everything. So in the course of this exercise addiction / alcohol / whatever addiction, addictive personality, I trashed my knees, and my knees both of them are just destroyed. Bone on bone, like it hurts to walk. So I had to go to a doctor at some point. I think it was in my mid-30s, and he was like, you're going to have knee surgery one day. Just deal with it. And then when the day comes that you can't deal with it anymore, come on back. And that day came, and I had to have my knee replaced. It was basically like disintegrating in my body. So, and I was like falling. I wasn't even drunk. This was after I got sober. I would just, while I was walking like in a parking lot, it would just give out, and I fell twice. And I was like, okay, I got to do something about this. So I had my knee replaced in March. And if anybody's listening to this who has had any type of knee surgery, but specifically their knee replaced, they will know how horrible it sucks. It's like the worst thing that can happen to the human body. I don't recommend it. But things are getting much better now. I feel like it's worth it now. But those first 3 months, I couldn't believe. I mean, I didn't know what I was going to do. And I did have to.
So your sobriety date again is December.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well,
December 7th, 2020.
Okay, so by the time you had your surgery, you were 2 years and 3 months sober.
Yes, I was, and I'm sorry that I went from.
That's okay. No, I
went from my story to my knee,
and that's okay. That's the progression. I think it's important. It could be it's important at any level of sobriety, but I think it's important for people to know, that again, everyone. Comparatively, everyone's in early sobriety, but I think when you're still kind of getting your feet under you, and you're not like super newly sober,
right.
but still,
I mean, yeah, I had some time, but it's not like a lot of time. It's not a lot of time like you guys have. It's not a lot of time like, the ladies in my AA group. That's another thing. I used AA. I am in AA. I am active in AA. I made it work for me. And I think a lot of people get turned off by it because they use the program. They're trying to use it like how someone else is giving it to them, and they don't make it their own. And I think that's how people get turned off by it. But it has really been amazing in my life. And I go to a women's meeting once a week, always the same meeting, and I love it. I'm a happier person now and a better person, and that's what I used to get sober. But it was so bad in December of 2020 that I'll just say my family, but my husband, because I do have school age children, he said, you either clean up or get out, because you can't be around the kids anymore. He couldn't be around me anymore. I was out of control. I was just out of control.
Oh yeah, we're charming. We're wonderful to be around.
Oh my gosh, I did stuff that I obviously don't remember doing. I did stuff to my husband that I would never do in my right mind.
Right.
It was sick. It was gross. I was just a shell of misery and just a disgusting human existence. How's that?
That's perfect.
And I mean, honestly, that's really what it comes down to. That, and I've said it about myself too. It's a lot of people say that they were living a horrible life, and I mean, I just look at it like all I was doing was existing and occupying space. I mean, I didn't call it a life. I certainly wasn't living anything. I was just, it's just you're there. You're taking up space and taking up air, and drawing misery, or putting misery on everyone, and drawing the life out of everyone else is basically what we end up with in a lot of cases, right, Mike?
Oh, absolutely. Well, yeah, right. Selfish and self-centered to the extreme.
Right.
Yes.
All we give a fuck about is making ourselves feel good and fuck everybody else.
Right.
100%.
Yep.
That's all that mattered.
And it's no way to live.
It is no way to live.
I know. And it's fucked up because, all we're trying to do is make ourselves feel better, and we're making our lives completely fucking miserable.
There, absolutely. And it can overcome you, and you don't even know, like, it's happening. And then you're a 42-year-old woman with a family whose husband's like, get the fuck out. Or clean yourself up. And I never thought that for me. I always thought I had stuff under control, but I never did. Never, ever.
It's a
more of those delusions.
I was just
delusional.
Very, very common thought.
Absolutely, but it definitely got worse as the years kept going.
Yeah.
My drinking. So
yeah. It's progressive. I read that somewhere.
Yep. Yes, I have read that somewhere too.
So with the surgery, that's something that, because I don't remember if you brought it up when we had first talked, but I know that, and I don't want to say you were putting it off, but maybe you were, because you didn't want to necessarily have to deal with it. But this was a problem that, basically you waited, and then finally you're just like, I got to get this taken care of, or I'm going to fall in parking lots all my life.
Right. Exactly. I was walking with a cane and stuff. I'm 45. I mean, I know that's not super young, but it's also not super old.
Right.
Like, save the canes for, 80s.
When you're in your 50s.
Yeah.
Like us. Yeah, save whatever.
It's okay.
Whatever.
It's okay. Yeah, we know that was coming next. Whatever, man.
Whatever. But yeah, it was time to do something about that, and I did think about being on the opioids, because you have to take them.
Right.
Literally, my leg got cut into, and my knee got amputated from my body, and a metal one was put back in, and so they pass them out freely when you get your knee replaced. I know that there's some people can do it, but they're using different types of drugs than opioids. So I've heard a lot of people be like, oh, well, you don't have to take those. You can take this instead. And it's like, well, that does stuff too. So and I had to take them for a while. It wasn't just like 2 weeks after the surgery. I was in massive pain for a solid 8 weeks.
Right.
So I took them. I had to take them at night, or else I couldn't sleep.
Sure.
So it was always in the back of my head. It's a slippery slope.
Oh,
But I
absolutely.
justified it with, maybe
Well, yeah.
that's not the right word, but I needed to have that. That helped me
Sure.
recover.
Right. Well, I mean, they do have. They're not just all fun and games, kids. They do have a purpose sometimes.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely,
right.
and that was.
But talk about. Okay, so you knew you were going to do this. How did you prepare for it?
For the knee surgery?
Yeah, and you knew that you were going to have to do some drugs to get through it. How did you prepare?
Control.
No. That's a bullshit answer. That's a bullshit answer.
Exactly.
Control. We have no control.
Exactly. I'm saying that because that's what I did in my mind. Like, okay, I'm only going to take all my medication, because I had to take other shit for it too, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like antibiotics and whatever. So I a set limit of when I could take it, and I can't take it before this time, and I can't, take more than what is prescribed. Those were the types of things prior to the surgery that I was thinking that would help me with having to take prescription painkillers.
Did you share this with other people? That's what I'm looking for.
Oh, yes, I did. I talked to my sponsor about it.
Good.
See?
Because yes, I could, I plenty of times in my life I sat down and said, okay, I'm not going to get high until after 4. I'm not going to drink until after 5, and sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. More often, and totally towards the end, it never worked because I had no control. So that's why that when you said that word, it frightened me, and I didn't, I didn't like it very much because it's a bullshit. It's a bullshit term for us. We have no control.
I was saying it. I was trying to be sarcastic, and I don't think it came out right. But
it didn't. But that's cool.
That's what my problem is, right? That's what an alcoholic's problem is control. So, of course, I went back in my old ways of saying, I'm going to control this and prepare myself for having to take painkillers. And, of course, that went right out the window.
Good.
When I came home and, was dying because I was in so much agony.
Mm-hmm.
But so
you got a fistful of Vicodin or whatever else they gave you.
Right.
Yeah.
I did.
But so you talk to your sponsor, and obviously your husband's there, your family's there.
Yes.
And that's what Mike was digging for. That, even though in our minds we're like, ooh, I got this and whatever, you still went, you talked to a sponsor, you had your husband around, you had your family around to help you, and it wasn't like you sat in a room by yourself and figured, I'm going to take care of this.
Right. And it's not like I'm sitting in my room eating pills in the corner and
but I
mean, scratching my skin.
The itchy and scratchy show. I missed that.
But the thing of it is though, is that that's completely possible. And I thankfully, and Mike also has not had, any type of major surgery. Neither one of us had. We've had some. I've had dental work and things like that done where somebody's like, here, take this. And I'm like, no, I'm not even going to fulfill that type of thing, that subscription. But so I haven't had any surgeries. We've known people that did. Good buddy of ours had open heart surgery some years ago. We know other people. Phyllis had gone in for that major surgery. And we know plenty of other people that have had that, had that thing. And I've always thought in my mind that it would freak me out that, okay, I guess my control part of it is thinking that if I do this, I'm going to figure out something in some way to give these pills to somebody else and say, this is the only time you can give them to me, unless I've just passed out from pain. And then you should probably call a doctor.
Absolutely.
Don't try to pop another Vicodin in my mouth. Just call a doctor if I passed out from the pain.
The pills were on my kitchen counter, and I lived in my bed, which is upstairs. And so I had to work for that if I was really dying. But yes, my husband was the people that are very close to me and that were around me during that time knew that it is a slippery slope, that I was having to take those. But my whole point in how I feel about it is that people need that stuff. And when you need it, it's different than just doing it to get high.
Oh, God, yeah.
So therein lies the difference for me. So
Sure.
I was, of course, I need to be careful with taking stuff like that.
Right.
But
But
I
it comes back to that
also,
slippery slope in your own mind. Trust me, when I was doing heroin, I needed that shit too. It wasn't,
yeah,
and at the end, it
yes,
wasn't really getting high. It was making myself well. So it was the same thing. I had convinced myself
right.
that I needed it, and right, I'm gonna get sick. I'm gonna hurt. It's gonna suck. Yeah, I need this shit. Right. So
Well,
that's where the other people come in. So, because our
yes,
minds will fuck it all up, and we will convince ourselves that this is a good thing when it's clearly
exactly.
not. So, yes, that's again my point. Why I was trying to get to. We need these other people to work with us through it. Otherwise, we're going to fail.
Right. And people need to be aware. And my doctor, my surgeon who performed the surgery,
Mhm.
he knows I'm an alcoholic and that I've been sober since December of 2020.
Good.
So that was everybody that needed to know knew.
Mm-hmm.
And the way it was explained to me and the way I recovered from it, I needed help.
Yeah.
And there was a time I tried to stop taking them and I started taking Advil, and I took so much Advil that I started reacting to Advil.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm getting at, people, is don't have knee surgery, every knee replacement, because it was horrible.
Well, and that's one of the reasons that I thought that, when Mike and I started talking about it'd be a good idea, it'd be a good conversation to have because, once again, in Mike, when you and I were talking about it at one point, I know that you had said that, in the body needs to be able to heal, and if you're in
Mm-hmm.
extreme pain, your body's not going to heal. So,
Right.
but
Mm-hmm.
it's that slippery slope or delicate balance or whatever we want to call it. And it would make me nervous, and like you, even less than you, I never did any drugs in my life, but
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Weirdo.
I know the only time I ever took anything, I was having, and Mike and I talked about this, I was having like these panic attacks when I was going through my second divorce. I'm sure it didn't help that, again, I was drinking a ton, but I mean literally felt like I was going to have a heart attack. And they gave me these pills, and as to this day I don't know what they are. These little white pills, and I could take one, and it was just this, again, from my eyeballs all the way down to my toes, you just feel this rush, this warmth through, and I was like, holy fuck, man, it was really cool, that initial feeling. But the problem was is it had me in like a fog. Like one pill like that would have me in kind of like a weird fog for a couple of days. I didn't like that. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I like it. I think we were laughing about this. I just got
Mm-hmm.
used to getting fogged out for a little bit while I was drunk and then passing out and being okay again. And I say, quote unquote, okay. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but um, I would still be freaked out, and I'd still be nervous, and I would still have somebody else, administer those things. And try to tell everyone in the world, that I'm having this surgery because I don't
Mm-hmm.
know, and again, I'm not a drug user. I have nothing to say. This is what it felt like when I did this before, but again, it's the medical need versus our fucked up brains and figuring out where to find that balance. And again, that's what Mike was getting to, and in great points on that. If that's what we need these people for.
Right. We
Right.
cannot do this by ourselves. Any of
We
it.
can't,
Right.
yeah, we can't do it by ourselves. Well, and another thing, when I think about it too, uh, and it just goes back to what I was talking about before. Like, whenever drugs were ever involved in my life before, my opportunist drug use, what was always constant?
Right. The
It was
alcohol.
alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a different situation for me because I don't have the alcohol with it.
Mm-hmm.
And the alcohol is the gateway drug that put me into the hemisphere of trying those things before.
Right.
So having to take the pain pills for this, it was different. I didn't have the alcohol. And so it was different for me. So I could tell that it was a need more than a want. And I got to tell you, you know, those pain pills are kind of like drinking. You have a hangover after they quit working. They give you like a 30-40 minute sense of euphoria, and then
Mm-hmm.
you're just tired and like zoned out, kind of how you said, Bill, like a fog. And so what, I'm going to do that after I've worked so hard to get sober from the thing that was in my life for so long? It's just stupid. And that's, I don't understand, and no judgment to anybody's sobriety. I know people get sober from alcohol and then they smoke the ganja all the time. But for me, that's just like trading one thing in for another. Like you're still using something to forget your life.
Right.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, so, but what's the substance that puts people in jail and kills people the most and ruins people's families and ruins people's careers and stuff? It's booze.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, and I think that if I started taking, and my fear, and when you just said that about that you always had the alcohol, it just made me think of something, is if I started taking pills, and one of the reason that, again, whenever I was given those pills, I think I took 3 of them and they prescribed 10 or 15, whatever it was, and I never took the rest because I didn't like the way it felt. So I just went back to drinking, you know. So
Right.
that would be my fear, is I'd be taking the pain medication. I'm like, okay, because when you just said 30 to 40 minutes of euphoria and that's it, I'm like, the fuck, man. My first thought was I would start drinking again. You know, and again, not that I would get it and I would understand if I needed it from the pain medication, you know, the medical standpoint, that sort of thing. But in a general sense, if that's what it did for me. But again, I mean, is that the case, Mike? You think why people I mean, get so not just strung out, but I mean, from a financial standpoint, go broke using heroin is because it's that quick fix and it's gone, quick fix and gone.
Well, I mean, no, it lasts a little longer than that, but yeah, you're constantly chasing that, that 30, 40 minutes where it's really fucking good. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then you smooth out and it's just kind of there and, you're living your life. You don't feel bad. So it's okay. But yeah, then you need that euphoria again. You keep chasing it, man, because that's what you're looking for.
Right.
Be
Right.
completely fucking whacked. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and I
The
guess
same with booze, the euphoria from
Right.
that one drink or that amount of alcohol,
Yeah,
and then
that perfect balance, right?
that
I mean,
perfect balance.
we talked about it recently. When I was in detox, I figured out there was about a half hour a day where I felt like decent and really good. That meant there was 23 and a half hours of a day where I was either too fucked up or not fucked up enough or sick or yeah, right. That was my
Right.
life or passed out. Yeah, it was. That was at the end. That was my life. There was about half hour to an hour window in there where things were okay, and the rest of it was
Absolutely.
fucked. Yeah,
Absolutely. Same.
Well, there was-
right.
Same.
And it's the same again. And I've said it so many times. The substance doesn't fucking matter. It's all the
Right.
same.
Right.
You're doing coke, you're
Exactly.
doing heroin, you're doing booze, you're doing pot, you're doing, well, pot's a little less, but I still don't have a
Exactly.
problem with pot because most people are generally they can live their life if that's all they're doing.
Mhm.
I don't find it too much more than coffee. I really don't.
Really.
But
If-
also I'm not the person that can just do that.
Mhm.
Smoke half a bowl in the morning and smoke a bowl at night, and that's my life. I can't do that.
Mhm.
Right.
I'm not one of those people. I'm also not one of those people that can have a couple of beers every couple of days. Lots of
Right.
people can. Lots of people can. I can't.
Right.
Fucking weirdos.
I know.
Well, so
We're so weird.
when you were just talking about the balance and stuff like that, it reminded me of, and you'll remember this. I think it was Rob. I can't remember his last name now. There was a buddy of ours that it went through the Keating Center and stuff with us, and he was doing his lead, and this actually made me laugh because he said for a period of time, because he was talking about his progression and how it got worse and stuff like that. He said for a period of time he was able to get to that, to whatever this point was, that his balance point, that moment. He could drink to a point and go to work and function until he had to leave and blah blah blah. But then what he said was, he goes to that one day, he goes, I just missed the mark. It fucking made me laugh because I knew exactly what he meant, because every day, that, because shit, I did that for the last, I don't know, 6, 8, 9 months, maybe, well, at least 6 months that I was drinking. I knew roughly how much I could drink in the morning and have a nice buzz throughout work until I went to lunch, and then same deal, how much to drink at lunch to have that nice buzz until I was done. So I was buzzed up at work. But it was like, again, I'm sure, well, I know there was a couple of days that I missed the mark. Thankfully, I didn't get caught and I didn't fall down or anything like that. But yeah, just that whole idea, because we all know what that means. We've all tried to hit that mark. Again, that perfect point of balance is probably a horrible word to use, but that perfect point of what we think is that euphoric point. And again, you're, like you said, Mike, that's what you're chasing that entire time, is that 30 to 40 minutes. And with booze, if you miss that mark, you're fucked. And same thing with, you miss the mark with heroin, you could die.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
it's just, it's a dangerous, I mean, it goes without saying, but it's a dangerous game to play.
It's scary, and everybody. I don't have to take any medication for my knee anymore.
Good.
Well, except for like when it rains, and then it hurts.
You got to put oil on it since it's metal.
I'm in that age group now where your body hurts before the rain.
Oh yeah.
So
welcome
but I'll take
to it.
Yeah, enjoy.
Exactly. I might have to take a couple Advil, but that's it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So
Tylenol or Aleve, right, for me.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep. You want to know what I did when I was in Beaver Dam? And Mike, you and I haven't had a chance to talk about this yet because we had Elise on last week. So my the place I was at in Beaver Dam, we're hanging out that entire week. My kids were there over the weekend. I think it was on, would have been on Saturday, I think. Saturday when everyone was there. So my grandson's running around. My son's there. My girlfriend, his girlfriend's there. My daughter's son-in-law, and my grandson's running around. So I sit on the ground and I'm trying to get a picture of him. And I'm like, I'm going to lean over. So picture this, kind of just me laying on the grass and then on my left elbow, kind of leaning over like that. And I'm taking a picture. I'm like, ooh, that was kind of weird. So right down like my left hip, right above my left hip, lower back area, I'm like, ooh, I got kind of it felt like somebody pinched my back is what it felt like in that area. So I get up, I'm like, fuck me. And my back hurt, and no shit, I pulled a fucking back muscle laying on the ground trying to take a fucking picture of my grandson. And to the point where I still have like a mild soreness in it. This has been 2 weeks now, but that the entire week I was out there, and again, I didn't have my car for a couple of days because it was getting fixed, but getting in and out of the car after that and doing anything, when I'd get up, I couldn't roll over because I usually sleep on my left-hand side. And when my alarm would go off, which is on the right-hand side of my phone, I try to like roll over and sit up, and I couldn't. I had to fucking roll out of bed.
That is the worst.
That's terrible. I can't say never. I mean, I've had back pain before, but that's probably the worst I've ever done, as far as fucking up my back. And literally, I laid on the ground. That's it.
Yeah, the people are like, how did you fuck up your back so bad? And it's like, oh, I was taking a picture of my grandchild.
Right. I lifted up my phone.
Yes.
Well, when Mike and I went up to the
I lifted up my phone.
Well, Mike and I were up in Milwaukee and went to see the Foo Fighters and the whole Harley thing. I mean, we didn't park that far away. 17-minute walk maybe.
Something like
But
that,
I mean,
right?
walking over there and walking around the park, doing this and that. Halfway through the day, we're waiting for the Foo Fighters. We got probably another hour and a half, and I'm like, let's just sit down someplace. No places to really sit, so we're sitting on the ground. Mike's down there, looks like he's doing fucking yoga on the ground, trying to loosen up his legs and his back. I'm laying there and I'm sitting cross-legged for a minute. I'm like, that's fucked up. I put my legs out. I'm like, God damn it, my knees hurt. I try to lean back on an arm. I'm like, fuck, that hurts. Both of us are getting up. We're like, oh, off the grass.
Oh,
And then so the whole thing, we're standing through when we saw Joan Jett, the Foo Fighters the whole time. All said and done, we were there for 5-6 hours, I think, Mike.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
and
probably
then,
about 6.
yeah. Then walking back to the car again, not a big deal, but no shit. Both of us getting into my car. I get in there. I'm like, this is what it sounded like. I'm like, oh my God. And he's like,
Yeah,
oh,
it was a process.
yes.
Both of us just hopped in. Hopped into the car. Just like got in the car, like, oh fuck.
Right. Absolutely. I know that feeling all too well.
It was stupid. But you know what? Actually,
Yep.
yeah, I was just saying. Yeah,
Yep.
looking at the time here, Mike, why don't you lead us into a break? How's that?
All right, well, we're going to talk about more problems with getting old right after this word from our sponsor.
Hey everyone, it's your friends at Sober Not Mature.
Hi there.
And yes, it's both of your friends this time. Hi Mike, how are you?
I'm well. How are you, Bill?
I am doing well, but we do have a purpose. We actually usually talk about our one website, but we actually have 2 websites now. So
Two?
2 websites in one. All right, so everyone knows we still have the podcast website that is www.SoberNotMature.com. And we just launched the store website, so we also have that. Do you know what the website address is on that one, Mike?
Of course I don't.
It's pretty easy, Mike. It's www.SoberNotMatureShop.com.
Ah.
But from the podcast website, you can still hit the store link and get into the web store, or you can access it from our Instagram page through the highlights. We've been posting quite a bit about it, and we'll continue to do that. But do you know what's on the second website, Mike?
Well, there's a store. There are products that you can purchase for you and your loved ones.
Well, Mike, do we still have merchandise?
We have merchandise. Well, we got T-shirts and coffee mugs and all kinds of crap.
And one of the coolest parts, we also do have all the recovery books from Hazelden, which is kind of a big deal.
That is a big deal.
Yeah, at least for us. So all the books that we read, God Grant Me, 24 Hours, the Big Book, the 12 and 12, all of those books are available for sale on our website. And once again, that store website is www.sober.
Trying to help, man.
I know you are. You're not helping, though. Okay, now I got to say www.SoberNotMatureShop.com. .com. Visit that today, or visit the podcast website, which is, again, the podcast website. So
www.SoberNotMature.com.
Did you just say sober but not mature?
Yeah, sure. Write that down.
Yeah, like fucking mush mouth or something. All right, everyone. You've suffered enough with this, and we'll get back to what we were talking about previously. So visit the websites, though. All right, everyone. Welcome back with at least 2 old guys and an old chick. How's that? 2 old guys and an old chick.
Welcome to the elderly hour.
Welcome to elderly hour.
No, it'd be more like this. Wait, okay, hang on. Be really quiet now. Welcome back to elderly hour. We now return
How
the
you doing, you whippersnappers?
Real quick.
I don't know, guys. You might not have a lot of traffic on this one.
Did you notice Mike's name? He's got a different name now. Did you notice his name on here?
Oh, I love that name. Fuck Knuckle.
Yeah.
Hi there.
That is amazing. I didn't notice that until just now.
Yeah, well, you were the first person that noticed it the first time when he went by, because you had Fuckhead before, Mike.
Yeah,
and then, whatever happened, Riverside did some sort of update, so it erased both of our names. So I'm like, oh, you're Fuck Knuckle now, and he's like, yeah. He goes, I had to sign back in, so he thought He goes, I thought I'd switch it up.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
Mix
that.
it up, Liv.
I love
Make
fuck
life
couple.
interesting.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So
Switch things around.
So at this point, I mean, based on what I've seen and what you told me, obviously what you post out on Instagram, you're back to exercising treadmill a little bit. I mean, you're getting back in the move
I'm
shape, right?
I'm fairly active again, and that's part of my staying sober too, that I need to do to clear my head and deal with because I still have my character defects.
No.
I was gonna
I
say,
know.
really? Huh.
I
I thought they went
still
away.
have
They're
them.
supposed to go away in 2 years. Maybe you're one of the unlucky ones.
They're supposed to go away, like after a week sober,
Right.
right?
Yeah, I thought a couple days.
No, I still have to deal hard with them all the time.
Yes,
And
me too.
so my taking care of my body, mind, body, soul. And
Right.
so I'm pretty equivalent to where I was before this all happened. And I probably need to watch that, but for elderly hour, I'm trying really hard to not go down that road quite yet.
Right.
So
Yeah.
But
It's right. Work those muscles again, because
absolutely.
That's what we do. I've talked about it a million times. We have to work new muscles and it takes time. And see here,
Exactly.
so it hurts trying to work them back in.
Right.
But after you do it for long enough, it gets a little easier.
Exactly.
A little
Well,
more comfortable. Where did we learn that from?
Right.
Exactly. Exercising keeps you out of the bar and out of the liquor stores too. So,
well, thank God that's not the only thing, because
I know. But hey, if it helps for some people,
right? Oh yeah,
there you go.
Twinkies and Marlboros.
Hell yeah, exactly.
Well, and I knew that.
Love it.
From everything what you said and stuff like that. I mean, I know that's always been an outlet for you. So, I mean, it sounded like it was kind of back in shape. But so your other knee, though, you said is as bad, not as bad, or is that something you're still going to have to have done?
So I have osteoarthritis, genetic and overuse. Both of my grandmothers had it severely. My maternal grandmother, she was all twisted up, like her back was all twisted up. So I have areas of my body that have extreme OA, both of them OA, osteoarthritis, both in my knees, and then I actually have it in my lower back as well. So when you were talking about your back deal, I can relate. But I will one day have to have my other knee replaced as well. And it hurts pretty bad. Like now that I have a knee that doesn't hurt, and I have my original knee that does hurt, I can really tell how bad it is, but I don't want to go down that road quite yet. I'm going to try to push it off as long as I can.
Well, I mean, it helps to have. 'Cause, I mean, I've known of people that do, I mean, I don't know, whatever it is, 2 ankle things, 2 knee things, whether it's hips or shoulders. And I couldn't. I don't know. I mean, I suppose there's a good bad to it. Figure out, let's just get it all over with. But I couldn't imagine from what you're saying to have to go through both of those at the same time.
I had asked my doctor to do that, and he said he wouldn't, but it was more for the complications of like getting put under.
Right.
So he was like, I'll only do one at a time, and maybe after 6 weeks, if you want to do the other one, you can. And I was like, I'm gonna be great. I'm gonna have this, and I'm gonna be back to normal, and then I'll do the other one. I'll knock it out this year because it's covered under my insurance. It'll be free, like a 2-for-1, because I met my deductible. No, I'm not doing it. I will. It was awful, you guys. I mean, it was just. The recovery from a knee replacement is awful. So,
yeah.
I don't mean to be a downer or boring with that, but there's just, I don't want to have this situation. I don't want to be in this situation again anytime soon.
Right.
So if I can just hobble around and keep doing what I'm doing and try to strengthen the muscles around it, that's what I'm going to do.
Right. Well, I mean,
So,
at least you know this time at least you know what you're going to deal with and stuff like that, which again is not
right.
necessarily going to make it a ton easier, but I think that, and I don't think that your story's not boring. It's there's huge points to it that again, getting through all of that stuff and even everything that you said, and obviously the points that Mike was trying to pick at with with being the control part and having other people, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the whole point. I mean, it's you can't deny the fact that it doesn't matter that we're alcoholics and addicts and that sort of thing. If we have a procedure, we need help, we need medication, but we have to have other people around is the main point, that's the whole point with
Right.
this whole thing that we do, So I think
Right.
it's
Absolutely.
Accountability, right?
Right.
Accountability.
Again,
Yes.
somewhere I read, practice these principles in all our affairs, including getting surgery.
Right. Exactly. Well, people grow older and then like shit happens. Like I never thought I was going to be freaking middle-aged woman getting her damn knee replaced. I never
Right.
thought that. Like I thought I'd be like 80 when my grandma had it,
Right.
But here I am, and people have other stuff too that happens to them, and we just, because we're alcoholics, we shouldn't be afraid, but we should be aware, and then we should make people close to us aware.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
Well, get help. Don't do it by yourself.
right, don't
like
do
everything
it
else
by yourself. But it also goes back to my point where, for me, the drugs didn't exist unless the alcohol was present, and the alcohol's not present. So they were never the problem. It was the alcohol. And that's just my experience.
Right. Well,
and how I see it right now.
Right. And
not
clearly,
to say that it'll change.
The substances aren't the problem anyway. They're symptoms.
Right.
The problem is us and our attitudes.
Yes, the problem,
and all that good stuff.
That
and if you don't have those attitudes and you are working on being a better person, then you can get through this stuff. And if you need a little dope to help you get through it, you can handle that, as long as, again, that you're practicing these principles and you're using all the tools that you have and you are allowing others to help you through it. You don't have all this. I've got this. I can handle it. No. Realizing that you can't, humbling yourself, smashing that ego, all this shit I've read somewhere, and getting through it. Right. And as far as the substance goes, I know what you're saying. And for the year that I was really on heroin heavily, I didn't drink. I always drank. I was like you. I always drank whenever I did other shit too. I used to joke that heroin cured my alcoholism.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, right. Because I didn't drink. I was doing dope all the time. I didn't have to drink.
Right.
Yeah, right. As soon as I got off the dope, I started drinking again. Again, didn't have a solution to my problem. It didn't matter what the substance was that I was doing. I still had the problem no matter what the substance was.
Right. Yep. It's not the substance. It's it's who we are, innately.
Yep.
And that is what it is. And that's right. And that makes me see it differently. Like, I understand where you're coming from, because I've just been so hell bent on, drugs weren't the problem. It was the alcohol and
neither one of them were the problem.
Right. Neither one of them were the problem. The problem's me.
They were but a symptom.
Is fucking me. And the problem always
will be
me. Always will be. When
all we can try to do is lessen that problem and take our medicine and so that the problem isn't as bad as it used to be, as bad as it will be if we don't do what we have to do.
100%. 100%. So, but I know that it's a thing for people, and people are scared when they get sober, and then they have to face.
And they should be.
Right.
They should be. I'm scared to fucking death. Right,
Right.
because I'm going to put this substance in me, and it's going to affect me in the way that those things affect me. But
Right.
but again, like I said, the accountability and allowing others to be a part of it with me, which I never did before. I mean, I convinced myself that I was being social, um, when clearly I wasn't. Um,
Right.
yeah, but no, actually truly letting people in and letting them know, and being open about those fears. That's a huge part of this thing.
Right.
Yeah, I'm fucking
Absolutely.
scared to death. I've got to do this. Help
Yes.
me. Help me to
Help
get
me.
through it. Yeah. And if you allow
Yes.
people to do that, and you truly allow them to do it, you will get through it, which you have proven.
100%.
Yeah, because you're sitting here tonight and you're not high.
I am not. I'm
Right.
high on life.
All right, settle down.
Yeah, that was my dad. My dad used to always say that all the time, kind of fucking around. He said, "I'm high on life."
Yes.
But of course, I mean, he was sober at the time too. But that's what he used to say. But well, that's good. I mean, it's again, I think it's important. I mean, everything we talked about, I think, is good, and obviously important for people to obviously be mindful of with all this stuff. Because again, it's something that we've talked about plenty of times.
Mhm.
So
Absolutely.
one of the things that Mike, have you ever heard us? Have you listened to episodes recently when we've actually done one of our morning readings? Gretchen,
I'm not sure if I
that'd be a
have.
no.
You sitting around high, you weren't listening to us? Come on, man.
You know what? You know what was really sad about that surgery is I would listen. I was almost caught up. I think I had like 4 or 5 episodes, and I was going to be caught up to current.
Mhm.
And I had that surge, and I always listened to you guys when I was exercising.
Right.
And I had that, and I couldn't. I didn't listen to podcasts for months, and I
Right.
got so behind. And so now I'm just trying to like catch up
Yeah.
It's
everything.
okay.
Right.
So I know. So I haven't heard your readings
Well,
yet.
Yeah.
so to give the background, and Mike, you can explain where the readings came from when you used to do them.
Right. Well, I used to do group at the Keating Center. I did it for probably 10 years total. And I would always start the group off with one of the readings out of God Grant Me, because it was a nice place to start to get the guys thinking about whatever subject I wanted to talk about that week. And so yeah, and I haven't been doing group. They've kind of changed the curriculum a little bit at the Keating Center, and between that and my work schedule and whatever, I haven't done group there for a year or so,
Mm-hmm.
and I missed sharing stuff, wisdom that's not mine. Um,
Right. Right.
so we kind of started incorporating it, and so we'd like have a little reading here on the
I think
podcast.
that's wonderful. I love
Yeah.
Well,
it.
and it's been cool because we usually don't do it when we have a guest on, just because a lot of times people are telling their whole story and stuff. But and I forget how it came up when we were talking about it. But Mike said that exact thing. He goes, yeah, he goes, I miss doing that. And then we were talking and let's go ahead and do a reading, because whatever it is, he'll pick out a reading either from that week or one of the thousands, or not thousands, but 100 probably
Dozens.
dozens that
Yeah,
he has.
Right.
And
dozens.
what it does is it gets both of us to think, and then a lot of times gives us a great discussion out of it. So yeah, I mean,
I
if
love it.
it's cool. So Mike, if do you have one ready?
I have one.
Cool.
Yeah. So this was August 2nd. Jesus Christ, 7th. It has really been a long day. See, this happens every fucking time. All right. Anyway, August 7th. So a few days ago. And it jumped out, and I went, this is cool, and I'll share it. All right. So, be willing to have it so. Acceptance is what has happened. Acceptance of what has happened is the first step in overcoming the consequences of any misfortune. William James, who's a philosopher and a psychologist.
Mm.
We addicts are not known for being willing to accept the truth. For years, we pretended there was no problem. Some of us, even in recovery, pretend that our problem was less than it was. The Serenity Prayer asks us to accept the things we cannot change. We hear people say at meetings, I think I finally accepted the first step. Why so much talk about acceptance? The function of acceptance is energy conservation. We addicts waste a huge amount of time and energy struggling to make things happen that will never happen. In recovery, we work to practice acceptance because we need the energy to build a sober life. Prayer for the day. Higher power, today help me to accept the things I cannot change, to change the things that I can, and have the wisdom to know the difference. Today's action says actions because this is a program of action. Today I will reflect on this question. What are the things I'm not willing to surrender over to my higher power? I will then write out my answer.
Nice. So usually, what we do is, obviously kind of talk about it. I always have my thoughts on the readings, and here's the funniest part, and the things that you haven't heard before is that. So today is the 11th, and that was the second seventh, the second seventh.
Second seventh. Right.
This is I was trying to blend those together to fuck with
It's
you.
the third eighth.
Yeah, one of those.
Yeah, exactly. But 9 times out of 10, well, let's just go all of it. I never remember it. He could read something that I just read this morning, and I won't remember it, which is scary because I read that every fucking day. Okay, but a lot of times I just kind of make little notes, which I did, and then obviously we talk about it. So, did anything jump out to you on that, or do you do any readings like that in the morning, or do you read any meditation books? I guess I don't know if I ever asked you that.
My AA group that I go to every week is a daily reflection.
Oh, okay.
Daily reflections meeting. So, the host, it does the whole spiel, and then we read the daily reflection, and then we talk about it, or I mean, sometimes you have to talk about other shit, but
sometimes you do.
Yeah,
Right.
sometimes you do. And it's I've actually been struggling with acceptance.
Well, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. And okay, I don't want to get too in there, but I'm still angry that I have to be the person that changes my life to fit in other people's that are drinking. Because I got to tell you, aside from my AA friends, nobody I know is sober.
Right.
I have my husband still drinks, my family still drinks, my close friends still drink. And I go in these waves where it's like, why do I have to be the one that has to make myself okay while all you people are drinking a molecule different than what fucking gasoline is? So, and I know I've shared this at meetings before, and I got a chip on my shoulder with it right now, and I'm working through it, and I know that I will get through it at some point, but that's what's bothering me, and it's the acceptance of that this is how it's going to be probably for the rest of my life. And I have to somehow accept that it's going to be like this, and I have to stop being pissed off about it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
Oh, it makes total sense. But
and I don't. I was actually going to ask you guys if there was ever a time in your sobriety, because look, I'm 2 years, 8, 9 months. Did you guys ever struggle with that? Like just being pissed off of having to fit in this alcohol obsessed world when it's like a poison?
Well, go ahead, Mike.
For me, look, I can't control what anybody else does. I
know.
barely can control what I do.
Right.
Right. And if somebody can, there are people that do cocaine recreationally. There are people that take pills recreationally. There are people that drink recreationally. There are people that smoke pot recreationally. There are people that do this. I'm not one of them. I don't care what other people do. I don't. I seriously don't give a fuck. You know, if you've got a problem and you're hurting the people around you and you want to do something to change, I will help you. Otherwise, I don't fucking care. I don't. All I know is I can't anymore. I can't. I couldn't for a very long time, and I still continue to do it. And again, the big book talks about us not having a problem with alcohol. You got to remember when those guys got sober and when they did the majority of their drinking, alcohol was illegal in this country.
Right.
Okay. They knew the futility of prohibition. They knew it firsthand because they were fucking drunk out of their minds during it. So I don't care about any of that stuff. I don't care what anybody else does. Now, thankfully, people close to me don't drink, or not much. My girlfriend's kids drink. A couple of them smoke pot. They do it around me sometimes. I don't care. It's fine. It doesn't have anything to do with me. It doesn't have a damn thing to do with me. My sobriety is mine. And I know that I cannot pick up those substances and safely do them, safely for me and safely for the people around me. And that's all that matters. That's all that matters.
I really like that.
Yeah, and
I feel the same way, but I'm still like mad at the world that this is just so readily everywhere, and that's
So what?
I
so
know,
what?
but like,
It is.
how come there can't be like a place to gather where you're not drinking? Why does alcohol have to be in everything?
Well,
it's not.
It doesn't. And see that here's the thing too, that when like what Mike was just talking about, like our family, for instance, all of our family, I think drinks responsible. We've been around situations where I've been to weddings and things like that. We were hanging around, like the kids were playing like drinking games. So we were out at our mom's funeral. Mike, you and Chris weren't there that night,
Right.
but they were, again, the kids were drinking that night, the first night that you guys were there too, and here's the thing though, is that the whole point with like alcohol being poison and all this sort of things, I get all that. And it's come out now, there's studies that go back and forth about, it used to be a glass of red wine was good, and then this was okay for that, and then a certain number of drinks was good for that. Now basically, doctors or scientists, whoever the fuck is saying it, is saying that any amount of alcohol is no good for you. Okay, which there's a whole lot of stuff out there, whether it's alcohol, Big Macs, or Snicker bars. I mean, there's a bunch of shit out there that is, when you think about it, is really not good for anyone. But if people, to Mike's point, if people can do it responsibly, and don't affect me with it, nobody's making me eat a Big Mac, and nobody's making me drink and that sort of thing. And to your last question, as far as gatherings and things like that, there are more alcohol-free events around now than it blew my mind once I got on Instagram. First of all, saw all the people that were sober, all the people that were open about it, but then literally seeing all these, there's these pop-up bars, these mocktail things, there's sober get-togethers, there's all these different movements and all this shit, all these people doing things like that. I'm like, holy fuck. It's like almost that all these sober people were, hiding in plain sight, and now they're all open and they're out doing shit like that,
Sure, I get that, but when the people that you have that are around you aren't like that, it's hurtful.
Well,
and
but are they
it just sucks.
But here's the other question though, and then I don't hang around people that are disrespectful for what I'm doing,
Right, and nobody is disrespectful in my life.
Right.
But like, for example, here's an example, like a work team building. We have to do that bullshit for my job.
Right.
And you have to go. And what's always there when I go? booze.
Well,
Yep.
and this is one of the, and I'd never done it before because I didn't care. I've been to, since I've been sober, I've been to a number of work events like that where there's alcohol involved. Again, because based on my position with the company, some certain circumstances I needed to be there, but I didn't necessarily need to drink. I just did what I did. But what I've heard this on podcasts and read some things about it and that sort of thing is that the way that people get the way that you, not you specifically, but the way that we can get change affected and things like that is to ask somebody, depending on the size of the
Mm-hmm.
organization, or I guess regardless, just say, hey, could you have at these work outings, can you have an alcohol-free option? And the thing of it is that people are so afraid of offending anyone these days that they'll do it. Number one, but they will.
I'm gonna start a new.
But
I'm gonna start a revolution.
here's the other thing, though. Think about it this way, because it is an allergy. Okay, we were just at this. I went to a baseball game with my daughters. It was a work thing for her at that minor league baseball game yesterday, and I got my food, and Brian got his food, my son-in-law, and then she went up because she was watching Ollie while we were up there, and then she's like, "How's the pasta salad?" I'm like, "It's good." I said, "It's kind of mild." I said, "There's like," and I said, "Just nothing wrong with it," but I said, it's not like real spicy or anything, but I'm sure they did that on purpose. And she's like, "Yeah, probably to, make sure that, they're not affecting people." She said, "But there's also certain food options up there if people had allergies to something." She said they have, if you're allergic to this or had this or that. And that's what made me think about it when you were talking about that, is that companies already go to the lengths that if somebody has a food allergy, they accommodate it. We have a different type of allergy,
Yeah.
but it is an allergy. You don't even have to say you're an alcoholic. There's plenty of people out
Mm-hmm.
there doing this whole alcohol-free thing. I haven't been in a liquor store in years, but my understanding is that there's aisles of non-alcoholic things now and all these mocktails, and there's bars and restaurants with complete menus now of non-alcoholic drinks. So, just say, hey, could you have one, non-alcoholic option? Doesn't matter what it is, or even make a suggestion. Can you get, if you like sparkling water, can you have cans of whatever the
Mm-hmm.
fuck, And I guarantee they'll do it.
Yeah, I guess I see it more of just like having an event where alcohol isn't served.
Yeah, but
Like where it's not even a thing. Like, can't we do a team building event that, I don't know, whatever. This is I don't want
but I
to.
mean, I'm not gonna let my allergy affect other people. That's the whole point of
Yeah,
this
you're
thing.
right. You're right, Mike.
That's the whole
You're
point of this thing. They
absolutely
can go
right.
have a couple of beers, motherfuckers. Let them.
Yes, I know. You're right. It's I guess I
Right.
just
I
haven't.
can't. Right. You haven't accepted the fact yet that you can't, they can. Who fucking cares?
Right. I think I just just because I'm earlier in, I'm still a newbie. I'm
I know.
still a frickin' toddler.
I know.
And so, like, these things come into my head and
Sure.
I think
And
about
you still
them.
miss it, and it still pisses you off that you can't do it, because 13 and a half years into this, it still pisses me off that I can't do it. But I
I
can't.
guess, but then, I know
Yeah.
I can't. But then when I see like all the good things in my life, my fucking
Other
kids,
people's
like,
drinking with impunity. Read that
right,
somewhere.
absolutely.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
I'm so glad I don't do that anymore. I don't want
Right.
to be that way anymore.
Right. Well,
But
then good. That's enough. That's
yeah.
enough. Don't worry about those fuckers. Doesn't matter. They're not
Right.
worried about you.
You're right. You're right. I need to tattoo that on my forehead.
Yeah. Make sure you read it backwards so you can see it properly in the mirror.
There. Fuck everybody.
Yeah.
Well, and
it's none of my business.
Well, it was funny too. We went to that Milwaukee the Harley Davidson, the Foo Fighters thing, and even shit. When was that, Mike?
Mhm.
6-7 years ago when we went to Lita Ford, and that was a Harley event, and
Right.
that was the first drinking event like that, drinking concert event that I had ever been to when I was sober. But. So I'm hanging there with my buddy Mike, and I don't really give a shit. I feel more comfortable. But even at that point, I was, we were 5-6 years sober at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But it felt weird. Okay, but then
Mm.
when I was up in Beaver Dam. I went out to dinner with my ex and her husband, and my son and his girlfriend. My stepson was there. Her dad, my son's girlfriend's dad was there. And again, the waitress comes up. What does everyone want to drink? And it's like old fashions. That's a Wisconsin thing, which you might remember that from
Yep.
being there.
Oh,
So everyone's gotten this
Oh
all
yeah.
this different shit, and then
Oh,
she gets
yeah.
down to me. She's like, "What would you like, sir?" I'd like a Diet Coke or a Diet Pepsi. She's like,
Mhm.
"Okay," didn't make a big deal out of it, but it's like everyone at the table is drinking, and even my ex is explaining to me they get these tequila old fashions. I'm like, what the fuck is that?
Ew.
I know. She's explaining
Thank
it.
you.
She's like, no, it's delicious. I'm like, fuck it, I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, I'll
I said,
take
I'm
your
like,
word
even if I was
for
still
it.
drinking, I don't think I'd get that. I said I would do a shot of tequila, but I get a fucking old fashioned.
Yeah, that sounds just
Right. But now
awful.
here's
Mhm.
here's the other thing is so my stepson ordered an appetizer, and he ordered pretzel bits, and he goes, yeah, he goes, make sure you get the beer cheese with it. He told the server that. Then I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to eat the cheese. I didn't say that to anyone. I love pretzels dipped in cheese, but I don't. It's just that's one of my things. I don't eat food that's cooked with alcohol. It's just my thing. Now,
Yeah,
now
yeah.
I could have thought to myself, I'm like, well, fuck it, dude. Can't you just get regular fucking cheese? But I'm one of 7 people. You know, Everyone
Right.
else was going to go crazy on it. So I guess that goes back to Mike's point. Fuck them. Doesn't matter. We got to be comfortable. Comfortable in our own skin is really what it comes down to.
Mhm.
Yes, you're right. And I mean, I do feel that I am to an extent, but I guess what I'm mostly trying to say is that alcohol is just it's infiltrated into everything,
Yeah.
like having a good time, going
Mm.
out, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And
To it
that's
for
what
a
people do.
certain section of
And
society. We're not in that section anymore.
right, we're not in that section anymore. So
Yeah.
I need to start. Can some people in Colorado that are sober come sit in my
Yeah.
section?
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. They can. Well,
So
you have to go sit in their section. That's the
I know I
problem.
have to go sit in their section,
Right.
and
You
I'm
have to do it. You have to take the action and go be
right,
in theirs. Yep.
and I'm too
And you know what?
busy going to
Uh,
bed at 9 o'clock
Kimmy
at
just
night.
went to Lollapalooza this week, right?
Yep. Yeah. Last week.
Yeah. Yeah, right. I just heard. Well, I know there's a big similar festival here in Ohio, down in Columbus, and I think it's at Lollapalooza too. There's a sober tent.
Really?
There's a sober tent. Yeah, yeah, at Lollapalooza and at there's festivals where there's sober tents now. They're
The
there.
Packers have a sober section.
There you go.
Oh yeah. I knew that. Actually, now that you mentioned that, yeah.
Yeah, Indians, and I think the Browns might too, or the Indians, the Guardians, whatever the hell they are now. But yeah, I know there's a family section where there's no alcohol at the stadium.
Yeah.
It's there. We just have to go sit there. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah, either go sit in the section, or all the things that I remember. You went to Red Rock. You've gone to festivals. You've gone to all these different things.
I went to a Dead show
Yeah,
recently.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I did. Oh, you don't like the
No,
Dead?
no.
But see, my
Okay.
point there is what I was going to say is that going to these events, like again, I would say, I know not everyone out of the 45,000 people that were at the Foo Fighters show, not everyone there. We were only 2 people that weren't drinking. That much I know. Okay.
Oh,
But
absolutely. There's yeah.
what it felt like is that every fucking person was drinking, and
Mhm.
but it
Yeah.
didn't make me feel weird about it. It just, I noticed it though. I noticed that.
Oh,
I
sure.
mean, shit, Mike, how many beer tents were there? And literally lined. I mean, 100.
Oh
Right.
God.
I mean, and I'm not kidding you. Maybe 50, but maybe even more than that.
Yeah.
And it was lined.
Mhm.
This whole Veterans Park is huge. And then when you get around, I'm like, oh my God, these fucking beer tents go all the way over there. They're like, there's no doubt there's
Yep.
lines in lines.
They're
And
everywhere.
they're
Yeah.
beer stands, And I'm like, Jesus Christ. I'm
Yeah.
like, where did we go we couldn't even get a regular bottled water. We had to buy, what the fuck was that, Mike?
Liquid
Oh,
death.
liquid shit. Yeah, that's right. That's what
Yeah.
it was terrible. And it was $4.50 for a can of fucking sewer water. It's-
I actually like that stuff. I like the sparkling
oh
kind.
no, I
of
got
it.
what was it? The lemon.
There's a watermelon.
Oh yeah, the flavored
it's fucking
ones
terrible.
taste like
Oh, it's
hell.
terrible. I'm like,
Yeah,
so we
yeah,
we finished those and just filled up from whatever the water fountain thing was, but that's
yeah.
the whole thing is and that's an acceptance. And to Mike's point is that yeah, you've clearly not fully accepted the fact of that. Hey, they're going to do their thing, I'm going to do my thing, and that's why I said
Right.
you've
The things that we cannot
yeah
change. We're not going to
Yeah.
change that ever.
right.
Why am I going to try? Why am I going to burn the calories? I've only got so many calories to burn, and I'm sure as hell not going to burn them on that.
Well, I appreciate your points of view and just talking about it
Yeah, right.
because
That's what it's about.
it's not easy. Like
No, it's not.
thinking these things and coming to terms with these things,
Mhm.
even when you have. That's why I always like talking to people that have a more sobriety than me because you've been through these thoughts or
Mhm.
you figured it out or you see a different viewpoint.
I don't know about all that, but yeah,
Well, you
and
have
like I
it.
said, I still have the thoughts. I
Right. But
I still can be resentful for those people
right.
drinking with impunity. Yes, I
Right.
can if I allow
Yeah.
myself to, but I don't.
Yes.
Again, burning calories on nothing.
Yes.
Shit, I can't change.
Absolutely.
It's the wisdom to know the difference. Let them. It's fine. What the hell's that got to do with you? Nothing.
Nothing at all.
Nothing at all.
Yeah.
Let them. If they're not hurting anybody, they're not hurting themselves. Who fucking cares?
But
and if you're allowing them to hurt you just by the fact that they're doing it, that's your problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
It sucks, but it's the truth.
It's 100% the truth.
Well, and the other thing that you said was, when you look at your life and all the things you have, write that shit down. That's and Mike and I talk about that a lot.
Yeah.
If you
Definitely.
write down, and we told the story on here plenty of times, but I think it's worth repeating. So, Mike and I were we were living together, right, at the house. Yeah, it wasn't 3/4 house. So we were at that time probably 2.5 years sober, somewhere in that area. And he was driving for this company at the time, where he was gone sometimes for a week and a half, 3 weeks maybe. So he got home one time, and I'm just telling him, I'm like, fuck it, dude. I'm like, I'm not happy anywhere. I said, work is pissing me off. People are pissing me off. I don't feel comfortable at meetings. Nothing's making me happy. I can't figure out what the fuck is going on. And he's like, write a gratitude list. Now, it's not that I'd never heard of one before, but it, probably, and again, we had to have been around the same time as you right now. We had to be in there because I moved when we were 3 years and 4 months. It was roughly in that time frame.
Right.
So he's like, write down a gratitude list. And I'm like, fuck, So you know what I did? And I wrote it down and I put it like a pros and cons list. Okay. So I put on the left-hand side, I put, reasons to stay sober. On the right-hand side, I put reasons that are not great about being sober, whatever it was, something like that. And I wrote down all these different things, but I made myself it was almost a promise. I don't want to say a promise. It was a goal for me to not write down anything that was financial, like, oh, I like my car or I like my new shoes or whatever the case is. So I wrote down, family and the roof over my head and my kids and all this different stuff, these things that I had gained because of being sober. And then on the side where it was, like bad things about being sober or things that suck or whatever it was, I think it was bad things. All I wrote on the other side was, all these things go away if I drink, and I put an arrow pointing to the other side, and I looked at that, I'm like, fuck me. And I put it in my I put it in my desk drawer, because that's where I kept my checkbook and stuff like that. Every time I paid bills or whatever, I sat at my desk and I'd open up that drawer and there it was. I knew it was there and I kept it. Today I don't know where it is, but it helped me. And I wrote down I did a gratitude list within the last year, because I was doing the same thing. I was fucking freaking out, and we talked about it on here, and I told him, I wrote it down. I wrote down a bunch of shit again. No idea what I wrote down, but it meant something to me, pen to paper, and it was great, because regardless of what's going on and regardless of who's pissing you off, or because my opinion, after everything you're talking about, it has nothing to do with people that are drinking. It's whatever else is going on in your head. A lot of things, it's just you're focused on that particular thing, that I can't do this, and I'm whatever it is grating on you. It's probably more than just people drinking, but if you get back to that basics again, what are you really grateful for? What does it mean for you to be the fact that you can't do that, but all these other things you have, because you don't have to do that,
all the things you can do because you're not drinking.
Right.
That's good stuff, you guys. So for the people that are listening, just know that it's a roller coaster sometimes in sobriety.
Always. Yeah. It's always going to be. That's okay too. I accept that fact.
Right.
It's not all, as our friend Heidi always says, it's not all strawberries and orgasms.
It's not all, yes, 100%. Well, I appreciate your points of view.
Yeah,
so thank you.
And the thing of it is, sometimes it's just it's not as much as and Mike and I have been around each other, from the start, but we didn't have these conversations right away, but pretty quickly. We used to talk about them.
Yeah.
We're probably a year or so, or up to coming into a year sober, when we started having conversation, and then they've just gotten deeper and more direct over the years. But a lot of times that the conversation doesn't necessarily solve, and I say quote unquote solve the problem, but what it does is it expands us and allows us to think, and then whatever the thing is becomes more of a non-issue, because we can focus on some shit over here. I just I was right. I'm trying to build content on that coaching website, so I've been writing about a lot of this shit. I just wrote an article today about gratitude. I've written about gratitude and emotional sobriety. I've written about, thinking about drinking. I've written about counting days. All these things that he and I have talked about, I started writing I've got this whole blog section on the website, and I'm doing it to build content, so there's something there. But it's therapeutic for me too, because I'm just sitting here and I'm putting all this shit down on paper. With a little bit of help of AI. AI is helping me, organize this, and it's decreasing the amount of time it takes me to do this, but it's still all my thoughts. But the cool part is, again, it's therapeutic for me, because I'm out there, I'm helping myself by putting this down, but maybe there's one person that I'm going to help by somebody that gets to read that, so
Absolutely.
So anything like that, it doesn't have to be for public consumption. Just write some of this shit down, man, and sometimes even talking to people, maybe we don't want somebody's opinion. We just want to write shit down so we can understand it ourselves. Who knows? Whatever works.
Yeah, it's basically just shifting your focus. Because, I don't know about you, but I can sit there and focus on something very negatively for a very long time. I did it for like 4 decades.
Right.
Oh, I would never do anything like that.
Right. Exactly. Right. So
Can
you
you hear the sarcasm there?
There, I heard it. Crystal clear.
Good.
Right. But that's just it. Shifting the focus, focusing on something positive, and before you know it, that shit that you were focused on that was making you feel like shit is gone.
Yeah.
Right.
Imagine that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It
I
is
like that.
It's simple. It's not easy, but it's simple.
I like that.
And you know what? I mean, you're kind of a female version of us when it really comes down to it. As far as and I mean that in a good way. I don't mean that in a bad way. But I mean your thoughts and some of your I don't know where your focus has come, and your ups and downs. Easily how I was, and that's when I started to think about it. Literally, if I wasn't the exact amount of time that you are now, when I had that whole gratitude list conversation with Mike, it was really fucking close, And I've had more of these fucking ups and downs, I feel like, that he has. And I always go to him. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? and usually he'll turn it back on me. And he's like, no, what the fuck, dude? And I'm like,
right.
And I'm like, son of a bitch, dude. that's about how our conversations go.
I need a recording of Mike just being like, what the fuck? Like, it's you. The
Make it your ringtone.
Is you.
Always. Always. Keep it. Hey, you know what? All of my problems are me.
Right.
That's, and it's one of the most freeing parts of this program. It absolutely is. It's nobody else's fault. And that means nobody else can fix my problems. That means nobody else. It's all my fault. Every problem I have is my fault.
Right.
You know, even if it's the idiot that cuts in front of me while I'm driving, it's still my fault. He's a fucking idiot, and I hate him being on this planet, and I'd like to fucking run him over with my truck, but it's my fault because I should have saw him coming. I should have known he was going to do that, and I do. I can tell when some idiot's going to cut in front of me. I could tell. I need to back off and let him fucking be an idiot and let him go on his way and continue to be an idiot. There's nothing I can do to change it. You know, to quote the great Jim Carrey in the most awful Batman movie ever, if you kill them, they won't learn nothing.
That's true. That's very true.
Right. So every problem I have is my fault. And if I have that mindset, then every problem I have, the only person that can fix it is me. Now, I can ask for help and I can get input from other people. Absolutely. But the only person that's going to fix my problem is me. Period.
Yeah. Golden.
Yeah. You know, my problem with alcohol, the only person that can fix it is me. You know, when I first came into the rooms when I was 30 years old, I expected you people to get me sober because that's how I lived my life. Everybody did everything for me because I was fucking so goddamn important and I'm the center of the fucking universe and you need to fix me so that my life's not fucked up. Gee, imagine that. It didn't fucking work and I went out and drank for another 10 years and threw a year of heroin in there and meth and whatever else I was doing. Yeah, right. Well, when I came into the rooms this time, I went, fuck, I'm the goddamn problem and I need to do the work to fix the problem. And so far, it's working pretty well.
It's working pretty well. I like it.
And just so you know, if you ever want the recording of Mike, this is recorded and it's going to be out there for your consumption. I'm just saying.
It will be on the internet.
I'm just saying. This is an option there, G. You can listen to this if you want. It's okay. You can.
No, I know. I just meant like having, just
my phone number's on my Facebook page. You can call me and I will tell you.
Will you just tell me? Yeah.
Right? Yeah, right, exactly. No, tell yourself. Fix it yourself.
You know what I'll do is when I'm doing episode clips this week, I'll try to isolate one of those things. I'll put it in one of our clips and then send it to you where you can just pick it off of the Instagram post.
I love it. It'll be my ringtone.
Exactly. But
my text message tone.
Fuck this.
Yeah.
You're the fucking problem.
Fuck this, fuck them, and fuck you.
Yes, fuck them and fuck you.
Well, speaking of all these fucks, it's actually that time. It's that time for you to tell us.
It's that time.
It's that time for Mike's little thing.
It's my favorite part.
I know. So yeah, Gretchen, seriously, we appreciate you coming on here and.
No, this is great.
It's been a lot of fun.
You guys are awesome, and it means
So
a lot.
Yeah, you are too.
It was fun to talk and just
just
share.
It was just to
share, tell you where I'm at in my recovery and
how you got through some shit and
how I got through some shit.
Which you know what is probably going to help somebody else. Right. That's a very good thing.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Preventative measures, kids, on those knees.
Right.
Yes. In other words, Gretchen's saying stay off your knees. Come on, ladies.
Right.
Stay off your
knees, ladies.
Exactly. Oh, God.
No, please don't.
Yeah, really.
Please don't.
Well, maybe sit down, sit on your ass.
Let me get you a stool.
I was just going to say.
Yeah, get a stool.
I was just going to say, I'll get you a stool.
There. Get a stool, ladies.
Okay.
Protect those knees. Oh, my God.
Get one with a little back support on it.
Never mind. I'll leave it be. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, I think we're done.
It's your turn, Mike.
It is that time. It is that time. Gee, thank you so much for coming on. I think this was a great conversation. It is that time now to be good, be kind to each other, do something nice for somebody else this week. If you're fucked up in your head, write down the shit that's fucked up and write down the shit that's really, really good. And you know what? You won't focus on the fucked up shit. And now it is that time. It is time for you to fuck off. Then keep fucking off. Keep fucking off till you get to a gate with a sign on it saying you cannot fuck off past here. Climb over that gate. Dream the impossible dream and keep fucking off forever.
You're
the best thing ever.
Yeah, I hear you sitting there trying to laugh.
Oh, that's so great.
It's funny because the people who usually laugh so much are the ones that don't know what's coming. You know what's coming. It's just like
I know
it's
what's
the anticipation.
Because it's like, when is he gonna end? When is he gonna end it?
Right? Yeah. When's
this shit gonna be over
When's
with?
this motherfucker gonna shut up?
Is what? No, I mean, like, what else is he gonna tell to fuck off? You
Right.
know,
No, I
that's
know.
what I'm saying.
I know.
How far could we take it? I love it.
Well, but seriously, G, we appreciate it. I mean, honestly, this has been a ton of fun. It really has, and hopefully, like Mike said, if it didn't help any of us, hopefully it helps somebody else out there, because that's the point, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, Mike, I know we'll talk to you soon. I love you, brother. G, love you.
I love you too.
Love you. You guys are awesome.
All right. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful evening.
You too. Bye.
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 As always, thank you for listening to another episode of Sober, Not Mature. To access all of our content and interact with us, please visit our website, SoberNotMature.com. Thank you again for listening, and we will talk to you soon.